So when you go into the bathroom, you're American. When you come out of the bathroom, you're American. What are you when you're in the bathroom? Think about it. We'll revisit at the end of the show.
What are you when you're in the bathroom?
Welcome to another college football edition of the Big Dead Energy Podcast, brought to you by Goose Media Productions. Go to www.goosemediaproductions.com for all your digital media needs. I am your host, Nick, aka BDE. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe on whichever platform you are listening to this podcast.
Speaking about the platform for the podcast, we are going to be on SoundCloud and we are also going to be on Spotify on top of YouTube Music. So definitely go check us out. Definitely go check us out. All right. So what are we talking about today, Nick?
All right. So we're going to dive into the implications of Notre Dame's loss to Northern Illinois this past Saturday.
Notre Dame had a tough loss last week against Northern Illinois. It was hard to watch, but now it's the aftermath that's going to make or break a whole program, right? Is how they respond to this.
No, that's 100% accurate. Their stunning upset to Northern Illinois sent shockwaves through the college football world. And now it's time for Notre Dame to regroup, fix what needs to be fixed, and then move forward after the entire country is talking about how they're a shoe into the playoff. They are going to have an undefeated season. There's really nothing left on their schedule, right? It was supposed to be, hey, let's just start making our travel arrangements and get this thing booked, right?
Right.
So now their path to the college football playoff is narrow. There's no more room for error. This normally a Notre Dame schedule has a lot of meat on it, and they can afford a slip up here or there, especially in a 12-team playoff. But the way their schedule's shaping up right now, a loss at home to a MAC team that they paid $1.4 million to come up there to play a football game, they're going to have to do more than just win out to make the playoff.
And that was supposed to be a tune-up game.
100%. You're supposed to tweak and fix what, your shortcomings you had against Texas A&M week 1. This is a get-right game, right? It's leading into, because they have Purdue this weekend. They have another MAC team in Miami of Ohio. They won the MAC last year. So they're going to be a tougher opponent than Northern Illinois. So you were supposed to have this stretch of games where you're, like you said, it's a get-right game. It's building up to get into the quote-unquote meat of your schedule when you're looking at taking down, you have Louisville coming to town, then we're traveling down to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech, and then we're going back home and playing Florida State, a couple weeks later. Like, it's supposed to be one of those games, like you said, a tune-up, right? It's supposed to go out, let's work on some things, let's correct it, let's keep moving forward. But
now, one thing that I saw, Coach Marcus talks about performance is the result of preparation.
I've always said performance is a reflection of preparation.
And it seems like they prepared very, very well for A&M, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they were just hoping that same preparation would kind of fall into, this tune-up game that was right afterwards. And obviously it didn't, right? And the other thing is Marcus has been in this position before, right? It's just who's going to take accountability and what are they going to actually do? Because when you look at the post game, he kind of seems lost. Like he doesn't know what happened. He wants to go back and reevaluate so he can figure out where their gaps are and stuff like that.
We got to go back and evaluate the way we prepared and figure out exactly, the mishaps occurred in the preparation.
When you're watching it, you could see the gaps, and I just, this is something where when something happens, how do you collect yourself? How do you take accountability, and where do you go from there?
Yeah, so like you hit it on the head, right? We've been there before with Marcus Freeman at the helm. I hate saying that, but it's the truth, right?
Oh, I've been here.
And each time we've been there, he's rebounding. He's shown the ability to rally the troops, get it right, and rebound. What Notre Dame needs to do now is channel a little bit of that, but then they have to maintain that, because what you can't do is keep ending up in the situation, right? We have to fix that, whatever that is. That little bit of complacency. I know Nick Saban called it rat poison when he was coaching at Alabama. You can't let that affect your program, and it seemed to have affected them this past week, because everything that I'm hearing from the coaches and the players is that their preparation was pretty much the same going into Northern Illinois as it was to going into Texas A&M. The difference is, after the Texas A&M game, Marcus Freeman made the comment of, I don't even know who we're playing next week, which is definitely bulletin board material if I'm Northern Illinois. However, I don't think he meant it that way. I honestly think he wasn't thinking about it, and all their focus and preparation was on Texas A&M, which is the way it should have been. The difference is that I don't think that translated into the Northern Illinois game. They came out flat. They were getting pushed off the ball. There was no juice. There was no energy. And even coming out of halftime, there was like a little bit, because Notre Dame scored on the opening drive of the game, and they scored on the opening drive of the second half. And after that, it was pretty, just going through the motions. Like we're sleepwalking. And that's the frustrating part is, I know Lou Holtz, Notre Dame great head coach, said they're 18, 19-year-olds. You're never going to get the same result out of them every weekend. And that's the truth of the fact. I remember when I was 18, 19 years old, you weren't going to get the same me at work every day. That's part of the growth and maturation process, right? But now we're in that situation where we have to see that growth and maturation process actually take place. So it's coming out of learning how to embrace adversity and take this as an opportunity for growth. So a lot of people, when they deal with setbacks, right, they look at it as something extremely demoralizing and they let it manifest. And when you let that negative energy manifest, that not only affects you, it affects everybody around you. So change is inevitable and growth is optional. So in this adversity, something's got to change, right? And that's inevitable. Things change every day. But you have the opportunity now to grow from it and now to learn from it. And that starts with focusing on what you can control, maintaining a positive, determined attitude, and surrounding yourself with the people who believe in you, and not allowing the negativity to affect them the way they allow the positivity to negatively affect them.
And some people do use negativity as a motivation, right?
Yes.
And they can absolutely do that.
Yes.
But I think to your point, definitely just losing is a learning opportunity, right?
100%.
And they can just turn that around, continue with that, and overcome this, still in the hunt for the playoff, right? They're not completely out of it.
No, not at all. They can, if Notre Dame wins out, now they have to win out with some style. I don't think winning from here on out by a touchdown or less is going to get them in the playoff, even at 11-1. You have to show that you're emerging from this as a better football team, right? And you hit the nail on the head by saying the great learning opportunity, right? This adversity they're facing right now can help them down the road in the fourth quarter in LA in the Coliseum against USC. Yeah. This is a character build situation. You have to learn how to buckle down, strengthen up, and this is where the leadership is really going to show itself. Right? Are we going to allow one mistake to compound more mistakes? Or are we going to overcome those mistakes and come out on the other side in a positive direction?
I'll tell you what, Keanu Reeves describes it best in what's the name of that movie? The Recruits?
The Replacements?
The Replacements, where he talks about quicksand.
You're afraid of anything other than insects? Huh? Come on.
Quicksand.
Oh, shit. Hey, quicksand's a scary mother, man. I mean, first of all, it suck you right in, and even if you scream, you get all that muck in your mouth.
That's what Shane had in mind, frankly.
Huh?
And he's really describing that.
You're playing, and you think everything is going fine, but then one thing goes wrong. And then another. And another. And you try to fight back, but the harder you fight, the deeper you sink. till you can't move. You can't breathe. Because you're in over your head. Like quicksand.
And you can let it be something that defines you. And I feel bad for Riley. A lot of people are throwing shade at him, right? But it's not just him. It's the whole team. It's the whole program. It's the leadership, right? To Coach Marcus's point again, performance is the result of preparation. And it might not even be that they weren't prepared. People have off days, you know? It happens. It sucks that it happened to an unranked team, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe they practiced a little too hard on Thursday and Friday before coming out, and, you know, their legs were jelly. Yeah. You never know. You know, you're not the one that's in the locker room. You're not there. It's just something they can bounce back from.
To that preparation, though, there's two sides to it. There's a physical preparation, which you kind of just alluded to, but then there's the mental preparation. So I think physically they were prepared. I just don't think mentally they were in it, because you could be as physically fit, as in shape as you want to be, but if you're not mentally prepared to accomplish your goal, it doesn't matter. You know, at that point, the physical part of it is just for show, right? It's the mental aspect of being able to go. They've always said it takes a special kind of person to play football, especially defense. You have to be willing to hit somebody. There's a switch that has to be able to be turned on and turned off, right? And it didn't seem like that switch ever got turned on for the majority of the team on Saturday.
And momentum is huge too, right? Northern Illinois got some momentum and they kept moving with it. I think a lot of them didn't think that they were going to be able to put up the performance that they did.
But that's the thing is, with you allow that momentum. You're at home.
Right.
You can't give an inferior opponent, and I don't mean inferior as a, you know, as a diss or a lack of disrespect for Northern Illinois, because they're well coached. That's a really well coached, well put together football team.
Very passionate team.
Exactly. Very emotional, very passionate, and in it with each other. But the difference is there's a reason why they're a MAC school, and they got paid $1.4 million to come up to Notre Dame, and why there's a reason why there's Division I and Division II in college football. There's a reason why there's a FBS and a FCS. There's a reason why there's a SEC and the Pac-12, even though the Pac-12 just beat an SEC team. But that's neither here nor there. There's a difference, right, in the type of athlete, the type of coaching, and if you allow them to get that momentum, you're instilling that confidence. Like, you know what? All week we were preparing and we were told that we can win this game. It's a difference of being told that and being on the field and feeling that. And you allowed them, even though they only scored that one touchdown on a fluke pass that wasn't even supposed to go to the running back. It was supposed to go to a receiver. It's just everything seemed to be going wrong that day. And the defense was holding in the field goals for the most part of the game. But when it mattered most, we had the lead. It was 14-13. We allowed them to milk the clock on a 5.5-minute drive, go down and kick a field goal that eventually won them the game. It's when you give them that momentum and that confidence, it's really hard to overcome that. I don't care who you are.
Well, momentum goes two ways, right? You lose momentum, and it's that quicksand that Keanu Reeves describes. Quicksand. Where now it's the downhill momentum. And that's hard to overcome too.
It really is. It really is. But it really comes down to understanding your job and the details of what you need to do when you're performing. So when we talk about diving into the details, it's not making those mental mistakes, not making those mental errors, being able to play fast, but play in control. It's sticking to who you are and not allowing the positive momentum for the other team or the negative momentum on your end to disrupt your game plan or what you really are striving to do. Notre Dame's always been built on the line and running the football. I know we got Riley Leonard in, and we brought in Mike Denbrock, and we brought in some receivers, and we're trying to evolve our offense, which is great. It's fine. But there's an old adage in football that you use the run game to set up the pass game. So if the pass game is not working, run the football. It's Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love only getting 15 touches during the game is not okay. And every time Jeremiah Love touched the football, he made something happen. There was a highlight reel touchdown of his where he hurdled a 6-foot safety to get into the end zone in the beginning of the third quarter that is forgotten about because of the result. You allowed a momentum play in your direction to not manifest itself and lead you to victory. And by not giving him the football. I know 2nd and 1 is a shot play most times in football, which because if you throw the ball, it's incomplete, you come back, it's 3rd and 1, you run the football, you get the first down, right? It's not really, it's more of a reward than a risk down, but you got to make the right call. You can't throw a pick over the middle on 2nd and 1. And with the way that game was going, I'm not really upset with the play call because there was 3 open wide receivers if Riley would have just taken the check down instead of throwing the post. But as a coach, you have to put your players in a position to succeed. And by allowing Riley to throw the ball to that post on 2nd and 1, like if you're going to call that play, cool, but tell him, hey, if you see that safety, remind him, you see that safety drop back, just hit a check down. Like remind him, like you have other options. You don't have to hit the post. We don't have to score in this play. Or if you don't have the faith in that, run the football. Just pick up the first down. At worst case scenario in that drive, we kick a field goal and we extend our lead to 4. So now Northern Illinois can't run the clock down and kick a field goal to ice the game at the end. They have to score a touchdown at that point, right? So you're putting the pressure on them. So like it's all those little things, like I said, in the details, and sticking to your identity, not allowing the momentum swing to really affect the game in a negative way, and taking that to the next level is really what they need to focus on and what they need to accomplish going forward. When you do all that, you are staying resilient, you're keeping that mental toughness, and if they do that, they'll be able to maximize the rest of their schedule.
So what's their path moving forward?
This loss has to be motivation. The year Ohio State and Urban Meyer won the national championship with Cardale Jones, their 3rd-string quarterback that year, they lost to Virginia, if I remember correctly, earlier in that season by 2 touchdowns. Zeke Elliott didn't do anything. JT Barrett was throwing picks left and right, but they didn't marinate in that loss. They used that as motivation to get better and blow the brakes off their opponents the rest of the season. And that's what Notre Dame's really got to do moving forward. They have to execute, they have to perform well, they have to prepare well, and they have to regain that momentum and make a statement. Because at this point, the committee is going to look at them. Yeah, you might be 11-1, but you lost to Northern Illinois. So what did you do coming out of that Northern Illinois game? Was that an aberration? Is that an anomaly? Or is that who you are? And that's their path moving forward, is they have to prove that's not who they are and get better and come together after that loss.
They got a lot of work to do, that is for sure. But Marcus has done it before. It sucks that he has done it before, and it sucks that we're doing it again, right? Yeah. But you just got to keep moving forward.
And Marcus, I love Coach Free, and he's everything that's right with Notre Dame, what's right with college football. It's just he always says challenge everything. That's the mantra of the team, is challenge everything. And sometimes that's yourself. You have to allow your athletes to be athletes, and you have to put your guys in positions where they could succeed. I know Riley hurt his shoulder this past weekend, so I don't know how bad of an injury that is, so I don't know how much running he's going to be able to do. Maybe he's fine, and maybe we're good to go. But if you take his legs away, if you can't run him the way you want to, they're going to have to figure something out at quarterback. Whether that's trying to move the pocket for him, let him get some easier reads, some easier throws, whatever that may be. They got to figure it out. Or maybe you got to sit him and let him get healthy and put someone else in.
One thing that I hate, and this is a little off subject, but watching the post game, like how the coach was hanging his head down. He was just so disappointed. Like, that was a bad look, I think. If you really truly believe, hey, this is an opportunity, they exposed some stuff that we didn't see, and now we can work on that, and we could be even better going forward. I just don't think you hold your head down.
I agree, and that's I'm not trying to make an excuse for it, but that's usually a reaction to someone when they get blindsided, right? When you don't know what just hit you, you don't have time to really reflect on it. That's the reaction you're going to get. And he needed to take maybe a little bit of a step to breathe and preach on the silver lining of everything and how we're going to progress moving forward. But one thing I've learned about Marcus Freeman is that he's a very honest person. Yeah. And sometimes that could be to his detriment.
No, that's a great trait to have.
Exactly. I was about to say, I would much rather my coach be honest than just give me a bunch of positive coach speak, because there's not a lot of positives to take out of that game. So it probably would have felt a little bit forced and a little bit ingenuine if that would have happened. But I do agree on, you have to be more aware of your presentation, because you can still say the same thing, but don't hang your head, right? You got to puff your chest out, keep your head up, and be honest the way you were. Just present it a little better. It's all the way you deliver things. But I really don't blame him, because I really think the whole entire program got caught by surprise, which if they would have watched the film on Northern Illinois, they would have known that their running back's a dude, and they have a quarterback that's been in the system for a while that's going to be able to handle the environment and control some things, and they're really well coached. So it shouldn't have been a surprise that they were going to be in a little bit of a dogfight up front. Usually with that, you have to weather the storm, right? You have to allow them, they're going to be juiced, ready to go and prepared. You have to allow them to kind of let that out, but then you have to be able to overcome it, and they didn't overcome that. So yeah, I'm with you, but like I said, I would much rather him be forthcoming and honest than not.
This is a huge opportunity for the team to build trust in one another, right? Mm-hmm. Trust is your character and your competence, right? Mm-hmm. Competency, you can argue, just wasn't there, right? But the character is there. How do they stay together? How do they support each other? How do they analyze what happened and fill in those gaps that they had?
Yeah, earlier we touched on leaders are going to show themselves this weekend, right? But it starts this week in practice. It's holding each other accountable. It's not pointing the finger, because that's not holding each other accountable. Holding each other accountable is, hey, I need to do better and I need to pick myself up, but we all need to do that, right? And by reaffirming your guys and letting them know, like, look, we got this. You got this. You're a dude. We can make this happen. And by not focusing on Northern Illinois as much, that game's in the past, right? I know this show's about that game and how they're going to overcome it, but in their minds as coaches and players, they need to be like, we can't let that happen again, and that should be their only thought about that game.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward.
It should be about moving forward and sticking together. And it's really in the details about everyone doing their job. That's really where it is. I know it's cliche to say, and you hear that a lot from coaches, and it's quote unquote coach speak. But as long as the left tackle does his job, and the right guard does his job, and the quarterback does his job, and the receiver, the tight end, if every position on the field does what they're supposed to do on each play, they'll gel together and they'll be successful. You just can't allow people to hang their head. You got to keep them up, keep them positive, keep them going in the right direction. And that's where the leaders are going to really show themselves on this football team, is who's that person that's picking up the other guy who may be down or hanging his head and keeping him going onto the next play. So no matter how talented or successful we may be, we all face setbacks and challenges that can seem insurmountable. This unexpected loss is a powerful reminder that even the best can struggle. They were the number 5 team in the country. Maybe a little predetermined. I hate preseason rankings and I hate college football playoff rankings, but at the same time, you can't allow that to affect your play on the field one way or another. It's got to be a faceless opponent, and with the right mindset and approach, you can emerge stronger out of this adversity than when you went in. This should be a true test to what type of football team Notre Dame is moving forward. And I know a lot of people are kind of down about it, but I'm excited to see how the season turns out, what leaders from these young kids on the team emerge, and how we finish off the season. So super excited. They can definitely still make the playoff. They got a lot to work on and a lot to fix. But as long as they stay positive through everything, and that's a message for everybody, stay positive, then good things will happen. And hopefully they can rebound this weekend.
Well, thanks for having me on another awesome episode of the Big Dad Energy Podcast.
Gus, I always appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Big Dad Energy Podcast. We would love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out to us on X, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Big Dad Energy Pods. Comment down below or email me directly at nick@bigdadenergypods.com. Until next time, stay positive and bring the energy! Let's go! Oh wait, I didn't forget. So at the beginning, I asked this question. When you go into the bathroom, you're American. When you come out of the bathroom, you're American. What are you when you're in the bathroom? You got any thoughts over there, Gus?
No.
European.
Or a poopin'.